Yo, what's good, everyone? Good morning. Happy Monday. Drop some sevens in the chat if you guys can hear me and can see my screen okay. You guys can see DXY. You guys can hear me loud and clear. The music's not too loud. Drop some sevens in the chat for me. Awesome. Also, drop some eights in the chat if you're ready for some charts. If you're ready to get this week started, this very eventful week. Very eventful, by the way. So I am going to be sharing a couple of things. Mostly, I want to make something very clear as well, though. Everything that I do share will more than likely always be shared on Twitter. So that way I'm not toggling between screens. It'll more than likely always be shared on Twitter. So just giving you guys an FYI. If you do not already follow me on Twitter, this is your invitation to do so. All right. Give me 1 sec. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this and I'm gonna drop it on Twitter for you guys. So that way we can all look at the economic calendar together. Okay. So very eventful week this week. Okay, we have 1 sec. Okay, so I just posted it so you guys could go check it out. Okay, on Monday we will have a slower Monday. This is the Monday right before NFP. I mean right before CPI. Not my favorite Mondays. Okay, not my favorite day. Now that doesn't mean that price action on the market will be ugly. That doesn't mean that, but it's not my favorite day to trade. So I won't be going too heavy the day right before CPI. CPI tends to be a very high volatility news. It get coming in at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow. More than likely, I will run it up with Matthew and Nate, and we may be running a CPI stream on Abundant Capital. Okay, so I'll keep you guys updated on that. I'll give you guys more news on that regarding CPI more tomorrow on Twitter. If not, I'll definitely be on Twitter giving you guys my outlook. Wednesday, we're coming in again for the US dollar with PPI. PPI is your producer price index. So CPI is consumer price index. PPI is producer price index. Okay, so it's like the consumer price index is for all the buyers. Okay, now the production price index is for the sellers. Okay, so we're looking at all sellers report coming through on Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday same time as CPI. So CPI Tuesday, PPI Wednesday. Then on Thursday, we have some other high volatility news, which is retail pricing. Okay, so what is it? Yeah, retail sales price. So we're gonna see that report on Thursday at 8:30 a.m. And then Friday we have our final U.S. dollar news, which is going to be um, consumer sentiment. So Monday's today is basically going to be the only slower sounding day. Besides that, we have a very eventful week. And if at all this week you're showing up before, or if at all this week you're showing up after the fact these news hit, or right when these news hit, you're more than likely going to be a little late for a lot of these big news. So if you are going to be, I'm not saying that you need to take a trade before, don't take a trade before like news if you're not sure about it. But what that's saying is, if you showed up to do your analysis, if you showed up for the first time in the day around 8:30 or after news, your whole sentiment's going to be thrown off, because a lot of the times the news set up the main move for the day. Okay, so just looking at that with you guys. I think I could actually just put it right here on it on it's funny, I forgot I could do this. Okay, but anyways, again, 8:30 the whole week. This week's going to be very eventful, so just keep your eyes out for Tuesday through Thursday. Okay, be very cautious about showing up late to the charts. It will not be a very beautiful sight. All right, so on a monthly perspective, again, guys, a lot of people may see this as bearish. I'm still bullish, looking at previous monthly high. Doesn't necessarily have to come right away, but I'm still bullish, looking for more upside here on the dollar. I believe that this whole range could struggle to get there, so I'm not surprised if we're going to build up liquidity. We did, although, take previous weekly low one more time. Okay, and then we actually got that rejection that I was mentioning, you guys, that if we don't get a rejection, we're not really going to see much movement. But we did sweep previous weekly low, and not just that, but we got that reaction that we wanted to see to the upside. So here on the 4 hour, you guys can see that a little bit more clean. Okay, we are pushing to the upside. We have this bearish imbalance there. Okay, so you're just being cautious about that. Now this whole range, not much liquidity within this range, besides above here maybe, but for the most part I want to see price action kind of go up and beyond through here. So since we did take out this low, maybe for me we'll come back to this imbalance and continue moving to the upside. Okay, so for me, I'm mainly looking for some longs up until that area. I know the 4 hour is bearish, of course, so if there was to be any bearishness, it would definitely come out of this area here. But for the most part, the way that we spiked the low kind of tells me, okay, where could liquidity be going from here? So that's where the incentive for the longs on the hour comes from, longing all of this liquidity. So that's basically my bias for the DXY. So long on the dollar. Which honestly, I wish I was short, so it would complement these longs on the indices a lot better. Not gonna lie to you guys. That's one thing I would tell you guys. The dollar doesn't rule all, but it does have a major influence on your indices. It's not like 100% all the time, but it definitely has a huge influence. Because yeah, Dow's been struggling to move higher, and DXY has been struggling to move higher as well, or struggling to move lower. Right, as Dow has been struggling to move higher, DXY has been struggling pretty hard to move any lower. So, okay, for Dow, let's start on the monthly. Monthly shaping up pretty nicely. Still looking at previous monthly highs for some more longs. Okay, the struggle may be when we get into this previous area of distribution. Okay, this whole internal liquidity could cause some level of retracement. If we do get some retracement, I would be looking below this low right here, back into this imbalance basically. Okay, I will be looking below last week's low if we get that retracement. We just took out last week's high into this previous area of distribution. Now look at the 4-hour though. 4-hour higher high, higher low. Now we've officially created this higher high here. This counter trend just built up liquidity. Okay, you guys can see this beautiful trend line. Built up liquidity. So now that we took out the highs, 4-hour has not shown much rejection other than London. I'll show you guys what London did. London comes down and we just completely dodged that Asian low. Not just that, but we have our new week opening gap here that we're completely dodging as well, or that we came into as well and are now rejecting to the upside from. So two things to know. Once you get into the lower time frames, your intraday liquidity, which in this case is your Asian low still standing. Dow has already taken out previous daily high or previous weekly high. Okay. And we have this new week opening gap. So we have bearishness and bullishness right there. That's our new week opening gap right there. Okay. So since we have this new week opening gap and we're trading out of it, my eyes are, going towards the upside mainly. I do see this continuing to the upside. Not the most ideal area Dow on Dow. Nasdaq with that divergence. Okay, so now we got Nasdaq with that divergence. We have previous weekly high, we have previous daily highs, so we have a lot of liquidity resting above. Okay, Nasdaq has all of this liquidity to the downside, but for the most part we want to note that Dow and Nasdaq have divergence. So let's go back to Dow. So let's look at Dow one more time. Okay, and we're gonna go down here. We're gonna take all of these out, make sure that it's just Nas, and we're anchored to the tops. Okay, so that way you guys can see it. Style, lows to the highs. Okay, we're anchoring it to the high. So that way you guys can see with a lot more ease. Okay, the high that we're looking at for Dow taking out liquidity has already been ran, and Nasdaq hasn't ran that. So Dow, I am short on Dow. I do want to see some shorts coming out of Dow, given that the liquidity to the upside has already been taken. So I want to see some shorts that will come down to Asian lows and maybe even beyond. Okay, so that will go with our bullish bias on the DXY. But basically you guys can see that low, this low, this high with this high, this high, and that high. Okay, Nas has liquidity to the downside and upside. If there was anything to short, it's the one that took the upside liquidity. That one's the one that's going to drop harder versus the one that's having a hard time taking out the highs. That one's probably going to run for the highs, okay, with a lot more ease. So with Dow, I am going to look for shorts around 10 a.m. So in a couple, like 23 minutes still. So we still have time. There go why I'm not really in a rush to like get into this. This is just liquidity here. Boom. Okay. More liquidity over here to the left. So these lows get my attention. I want to see what happens once we get to these lows. So if you are going to get in the shorts, I don't get in shorts before the 10 a.m. or I won't get in much trades before 10 a.m. unless there's news. But that doesn't mean you don't have to. That's just my rules, right? I'm just sticking to my rules, stick to what works for me best. And so that does not mean that you guys have to follow everything that I do. Follow your plan. That's all I invite you guys to do throughout these sessions. Okay, this is our first live session for the Mondays, for the Monday stream or for the Monday playlist. Okay, I do have a playlist for all the live sessions. You guys can go review them. Since there's not going to be a lot of them, guys, just come by, check it out, study how we apply everything real life, watch the approach, like how I'm waiting for setups, how we're not really rushing into anything, and just allowing price action to tell us what it wants to do, right? Okay, so again, now divergence on Dow, we got that noted. Nasdaq. Back to the weekly. I'm looking at more longs on Nasdaq. into this previous area, but I want to show you guys, if you guys haven't seen this already, I want to show you guys where I'm particularly aiming for. So my price level is 15,000, and that on the futures market converts to a little bit higher up here. So I'm looking at 15,000 up here. Yeah, 1 second. Okay, I'm looking at 15,000, that top right there, that triple top. And then of course like 15,000 whole level first, but mainly that top right there. So yeah. We have some equal lows here. I honestly really thought that last week we were gonna smack that previous weekly low, and then we didn't. So it's just pretty interesting that we totally dodged that low. We created some very, very equal lows, respected the whole range, and then just continue pushing to the upside. Okay, so now we're pushing up. We got that previous weekly high. Again, we did get a rejection once we came up there last time. Let's dive into the 4 hour a little bit more. Okay, this is where we came to last time. We rejected, came back down, took some more institutional order flow, and then pushed up a little bit more. Now the open did create a minor gap. We're gonna leave that alone, given that last week's is basically in the same spot. Last week I got asked what I thought about price action, and I mentioned that it was gonna be a big fat doji. Okay, one of my students asked me, where do you see price? I told them I see a big fat doji. And so we did get a big fat doji across the board for last week. So that to me, it just shows me liquidity for last week is easily ran through. Okay, last week's liquidity will more than likely easily be ran through. So if the longs are going to play out, I am looking for that. Here on the 4 hour, the range remains the same here in the 4 hour, this low to this high. The daily range would be from this low to this high. That would be ideal. Okay, if we came back down here, we don't have to get these longs. We have Asian low. And so now we're going to go into the intraday time frames. Look at our range. The 4 hour range is from this low to that high. Okay, so just looking at that whole range, what's about 50% of that 4 hour range is this Asian low. Given that we have divergence, NASDAQ for me will not hit the low. Okay, Dow will hit the Asian low in my eyes. Okay, and NASDAQ having that liquidity to the upside, I do see NASDAQ moving to the upside first before we come down for all of these relative lows. So for NASDAQ specifically, I want to see if we get back into the previous weekly opening gap. Okay, so I want to see what happens once we get in there. And guys, if you have any questions, comments, or observations to make, please drop it in the chat. Not just that, but if you want me to break down any other asset, this is the chat. This is the community for you guys to do that openly. Whatever it is, I know I don't trade currencies, but that's where it all started for me. Okay, that was my main thing, is currencies. I started with majors, then from majors shifted over to more exotic assets, then from exotic assets I deviated over to indices. I tried gold, I tried commodities. Trust me, I tried commodities. I salute anybody that trades gold with profitability. Yeah, Mexican peso days. I actually don't know where that's at. I'm guessing it's dumping. Yeah, finally, it's taking out all of this liquidity. Yeah. So we'll see. That imbalance actually didn't give us that reaction. We didn't come back low enough for that on DXY. The directional bias was all good. We are moving in that direction, but as you guys can see, We didn't come back to that 1 hour insufficiency, so maybe that's something for later on. We're coming upon this unmitigated area here that swept previous daily high, came into this previous imbalance. But again, guys, liquidity, okay? Where's the liquidity? The liquidity all right here got clapped last week's lows. As we mentioned, we were going to play with those lows, okay? This is us playing with it. This is what I mean, like playing with the low right here. It doesn't mean we don't run it. It just means we get to it, stick around for a little bit, and then reject away from it, okay? Or stick around in that area. So you guys can see we play with that low. We swept it, and throughout this range here, you want to see some level of liquidity. The only liquidity that I see within this range is this high right here. So if we were to get some rejection, given this 4 hours, it would be out of this area. But now you go to the 4 hour, and it's just one straight candle drop. There's not much liquidity there, and so for me, the range overall is the liquidity. So I'm looking at this high right here for us to potentially get back up to. And 1 second. That one right there. That's all for Monday, right? Like, we don't need to go any further than that. But now notice this. Notice how I like this a lot. We created an imbalance last week on Friday that we just traded into on the dollar. We took out the previous weekly low. We traded back into this insufficiency here. So maybe we play within this insufficiency a little bit longer, you know. I'll keep my eyes on that. Yeah, that daily imbalance right there. You guys can see it a little bit better on the daily time frame here on the right. But again, that range is my overall. Dow giving us that rejection. I do like Dow a lot for shorts. Yeah, Dow. That was probably gonna be the one. And here's my rule, okay? So 9 a.m. A lot of people ask me, why didn't you trade at around 9 a.m. or between 9 to 10? 9 a.m. more often than not tends to be the liquidity itself, the intraday liquidity. So there's I guess two main types of liquidity that I look for: higher time frame and intraday. Okay, higher time frame obviously is weekly, monthly, daily, very easy. Okay, all your favorite time frames. Okay, that's my higher time frame liquidity. Now I have intraday liquidity. Intraday liquidity is anything below the daily. Okay, so 4 hour, hourly sessions specifically, right? Asian low, Asian high, London low. My rule for the intraday liquidity on 9 a.m. If 9 a.m. doesn't run major liquidity, it is the liquidity to me. Okay, that's my rule of thumb. If 9 a.m. does not run major liquidity, it is the liquidity to me. And 9 a.m. price action tends to be taken more often than not if it doesn't sweep major highs or lows. So now you guys can see we did take out this major high again after London came in, right? Takes it out, we reject, come back to the weekly opening gap, we come up here again, take out that same high. And so for me, if we do get some rejection, I'd love to see it respect this high. Now check it out, look how we're pumping to the upside here. Let's go look at NAS is just struggling. Took out liquidity, some intraday liquidity, took out an hourly low. Like I mentioned, NAS, I don't see it going too much lower. Okay, yeah, we do have this insufficiency here, but NAS is the one that may struggle to get to that Asian low. Break here on the 2 minute. 3 minutes seems to just kind of be playing around this whole area. 5 minute respecting the lows, pumping to the upside. Yeah, I'm gonna just stand and watch. Got another 12 minutes before 10 a.m. Can't hear me? Can anyone hear Bash talking, or is it just me? I hope that you guys can hear me. Yeah, I hope you guys can hear me. Let me know if that doesn't work. But Dow's pumping. DXY is pumping as well. That's the only thing, like I said. That's what I was mentioning at the beginning. Like, I see the indices going up higher, and so do I see DXY pumping up higher from here. I'm not gonna lie, I do want to see DXY just continue moving to the upside from here. Given that, like, it does not, can't hear me very well. Okay, give me 1 sec. Thanks for that feedback. Okay, if you guys can't hear me after that, I did turn down like the music and then turn myself up, so I will ask you just turn your volume up and you should start hearing me very well. So again, on DXY, I'm still want to see that previous monthly high. Okay, there's no liquidity within this range here besides these lows at 50%. 50%, we also have this imbalance. We may get down there, we may, but look at this rejection. Okay, look at the way we're reacting here. 4 hours imbalance is just getting completely disrespected. 4 hour structures getting completely disrespected. That's why when we come in, I mentioned this on Friday. When we took out previous daily low, we didn't get that rejection. Okay, look at the way we closed. The way we came into that previous daily low, and we didn't get that rejection like we are right now on DXY. Now we saw a previous weekly low. Okay, so anybody that was long from last week got taken out. Okay, everybody that thought that last week was the low got taken out. This week we run through that and gain this rejection. Then you look at this range and it's like no liquidity within this range. Then that means the range is the liquidity. Okay, so then you're looking at this high. Now this is pumping. Ideally, you would want to see this fall if I want to see some longs on the indices, right? Ideally, if you want to see some longs on indices, you want to see DXY short. And since my bias is pretty long on indices except Dow, which is pumping to the same direction, okay? Since that is pumping in the same direction, I'm going to look at NAS for these potential shorts. Again, ideally though, NAS, you'd want to be above all this liquidity. So you have to think, okay, NAS is struggling to move to the downside and struggling to move to the upside. Are we seeking liquidity on NAS? Okay, are we running for liquidity? Meaning, are we running for liquidity to run and keep going in that direction? Are we going to sweep liquidity, which means we'll go to liquidity and then reject? Or are we creating liquidity? That's what you have to ask yourself. Is this creating liquidity? Are we running for liquidity, or are we sweeping liquidity? Ask yourself that all the time. Okay, I ask myself that every time I'm on the charts. When I look at price action, are we running for what liquidity? Are we sweeping to what liquidity? Or are we creating the liquidity itself? And to me, NAS kind of looks like it wants to create that liquidity for tomorrow. Because check this out. If CPI takes out these highs tomorrow at the opening of CPI, then hey, those shorts are going to be insanely big. I guess not insanely big, but insanely rewarding. Okay. But now CPI, by CPI, we're lingering around this previous weekly opening gap. Okay, this blue box right here that on the discount part of our range. Okay, guess what? I'm gonna be going long into those highs for CPI. So it just depends what we end up doing today. Dow's playing with the high. Did not come down to the Asian low as we anticipated. Not something I'm going to be playing. Let's see this whole daily range currently. From this low to this high. Yeah. Just let it do its thing for now. Got another 5? Yeah, I got another 5 minutes. This area, this level particularly, I want to see some rejection out of there. If we do get the shorts, it's going to be around this level for me. And when we close, okay, so now the rule for the 9 a.m. When we close really close to that 9 a.m., I do anticipate 9 a.m. to get ran. So if we do close to either the high or the low of 9 a.m., I anticipate that part of liquidity to get ran. So if we do close a little bit higher towards the high, I will be anticipating that to be ran before we go lower. DXY's playing with the high as well. Not really going to look at SPX. It tends to be the least volatile one, so I'm not really paying attention to SPX today. Sorry. So looking at my wife's computer. Yeah, not really going to look at SPX. It tends... You guys can backtest this, but I've done a bunch of hours of backtesting on this, and SPX does have really good moves. Don't get me wrong. But more often than not, the day right before high volatility news, like 95% of the time, it just does something like this, where it just plays within the range that it has the previous day. It just plays within that range. So me personally, I'm going to be staying away from SPX. You guys can backtest that. Don't just take whatever I say for granted, like for what it is, right? Don't just say, okay, Bash said that, that's what it is. Backtest it. I could be absolutely wrong. There could be some SPX traders out here that are trading it right now, that are probably in a trade right now. That's just not my high probability setup. Another just 3 minutes before this 10 a.m. I'll make it like a every time we do a New York stream, let's read some of these quotes. Yeah, the question, who am I, is not really meant to get an answer. The question, who am I, is meant to dissolve the questioner. Wow, that was beautiful. I don't think I've read that page. It's weird. I don't remember that page, at least. I'm glad I'm going through it. Anyways, let me get to a quote that I have bookmarked. I say this a lot. Maybe some of you have heard me say this, but your ego wants you to be the best in the world. So a lot of individuals may think that they want to be the best trader in the world, or they want to be the best trader. Okay, maybe trying to prove themselves to be better, right? And a lot of this is subliminal. Like people don't intentionally want to say like, "Oh, I'm better than other people." People don't intentionally say these things, but subliminally, the reason why some individuals want to be better in trading is because they want to be the best in the world, or they want to be the best at something. Because maybe, like myself, I battled this a lot. I was, I mean, I still am a great soccer player, okay? And because I was a great soccer player, I wanted to be the best out there, always beating other teams, beating other individuals, being the best player in the team. And so that kind of drifted over where I noticed that no matter what I do in my life, I tend to do it really well. And so that ego, right, that level of awareness, or that lack of awareness, you could say, that lack of awareness um, got transferred over to trading, right? And so then when I got to trading, I wanted to create my own strategy. I wanted to be the best out there. I wanted to be unique. I wanted to, yeah, and it's just very harmful. So what is the message is your ego wants you to be the best in the world, but your spirit, and your spirit wants you to be the best for the world. So there's two sides of the coin there, right? You want to be the best for the world or the best in the world. And it's just a change in wording. The best in the world and the best for the world, right? Before we transcend the ego, we see ourselves as separate entities, disconnected from the whole. We think in terms of my life and your life. Therefore, we focus on ourselves and we use the world and everything in it to enhance our lives. After we transcend the ego, we see ourselves as interconnected part of the whole. We no longer have a life, we are life. Therefore, we focus on life as a whole, and we use our individuality to enhance our life in its broader sense. Yeah, beautiful. I love this. I love this book. For those of you who don't know which one it is, again, I mentioned it a couple of times, but Nothing You Don't Already Know by Alexander Den. You guys will definitely hear a lot of quotes out of that book. So let's get back to it. So we got that 10 a.m. Okay, 10 a.m. is showing some rejection. Over here on DXY, we want to see just some continuation to the upside. Still struggling. If I was to go anything on Nas, I'm gonna take off the Asian low because I don't believe the Asian low will be taken on Nas. So if we do go long on Nasdaq, for me, this is the 9 a.m. low. 9 a.m. didn't take out any major liquidity. It just took out intraday, so it doesn't have to happen. Given that Nasdaq is bullish, has this bullish divergence, Nasdaq does not need to smack the lows before we run higher. It still has a lot of liquidity demanding up here. A lot. Okay? So Nasdaq, before we go long, does not have to come to the low. But this is ideally what I would prefer to see is 9 a.m. get ran. Okay, 9 a.m. get ran through, and even potentially make it to this unmitigated area down here that has this new week opening gap. That's the ideal setup for Nas. Okay, that's for me the ideal setup for Nas. Of course, targeting these highs first, being the first objective. We may not get that. That's the ideal setup for me on Nas. Yeah, if I was long on any, it's Nas. Got that double top on DXY. Yes, or S&P we're close to the new week opening gap. Yeah, definitely. Fairly close to it. Go ahead and S&P took London low. So I'm very curious to see if we take out any more lows. Yeah, we don't have to, but yeah, that would be the ideal areas below these equal lows. And hey, we may not get anything today. Like I said, CPI's tomorrow. Then you got PPI Wednesday. Then you have, I forget what it was on Thursday. Let's go back. I forget what that was on Thursday. Retail sales. That's what it was. Retail sales. Unemployment claims. Jeez. Yeah, we got a lot on Thursday. So if we don't FOMC Wednesday, PPI Thursday. Oh, there is FOMC. Oh, but is it the main one? Oh, it is the main one. Holy crap. So Wednesday we got PPI. So I will be on for PPI on Wednesday. And we got FOMC. I totally, like, my eyes went right past it. Thank you, Drum. Yeah, we got FOMC on fucking Wednesday. What? Nah, this is a crazy ass week. Like, super eventful last week. Be super cautious. Tread lightly. Okay? We're having this failure to create a high out of this area here. Taking out this low right here on Dow, I will be looking to add to the shorts and just take it short. But it has to be something that we leave some insufficiency. So from here to here, I want to see some insufficiency created to take this out. And just to the Asian low, I'm not really shooting for anything too crazy this week today. Mondays are quick approach, quick in and out, done. That's cool. We got FOMC. This switches a lot. Nasdaq made it down there. Took out 9 a.m.'s low. And we came into this previous area of accumulation. We came into a previous weekly opening gap. We had a failure to create a new higher high. The only way that I'd go short on NAS is if we took out the lows. But so for me, NASDAQ to that high just makes a lot more sense. We got an unmitigated area. We got internal liquidity. We have imbalance. We have previous weekly opening gap. Yeah. PPI and FOMC is on the same day. I saw that too. I'm pretty shocked by that. I haven't seen a week like this in a while. Like, this is a pretty eventful week. We had a similar week last month, but it wasn't like, it was CPI and NFP was on this, or either NFP and FOMC on the same week, and it was just threw me off a little bit. I didn't know which one to hold or trade. I don't remember what it was though. It was like FOMC and CPI. I'm not sure. But it was on the same week. Super eventful as well. This one has even more. CPI, FOMC, PPI. Cool. Nasdaq tapped into that area. Again, I'm not looking for that low, Asian low on Nas. We ended up respecting this imbalance pretty nicely though, right? Yeah, it's been a while since we had a week like this. Yes. 9 a.m. lows taken. Yep. So we did take out the 9 a.m. low on Nas. We'll see what happens here. This is kind of like where we want to see that rejection, right? That rejection play out. Dow's coming down lower. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'd rather be short than long. I'd rather be, and not because I'm trying to scare anybody out of the longs. It's just DXY. It complements the shorts a lot more than the longs. But if I am long on Nas, it's only to the like partials here, closing here. Watch price action just get to that high. I'm not expecting major liquidity to be taken today. So higher time frame liquidity, I'm not aiming for today. Just intraday liquidity. That'd be cool though. Like if today was like the low and CPI just kept longing, like that would be ideally really cool to hold through all of that. You don't have to even trade CPI. You can just hold. Nothing yet though, right? Like nothing's developed. Usually never fall in for the first tap. I never do. First tap tends to be liquidity itself again. We'll see what happens here. But liquidity ran. That's what we wanted to see. Liquidity getting ran. Dow's not giving up that low. Got a lot of insufficiency here. Yeah, I want to see some just more dumps out of here. Equal lows. That by the way will confirm my shift in structure. That's all I'm waiting for is a shift in structure. Just run the lows and that will confirm my personal shift in structure for the 5 minute. Oh man, I stretch a lot in the mornings. Jeez, just one of those. This is this 4-hour range on SPX right here. So if you're looking at this low to that high, and your internal liquidity is kind of laying right below that new weekly opening gap. NASDAQ not really giving us any rejection. Nothing here. Dow still got those. DXY still got those equal highs. And Dow is dodging my low. Honestly, just being patient. You don't want to risk like everything. Having like such an eventful week, you're gonna feel like you're missing out a lot. This week is purely gonna be based. Whoever's most patient will make the most money. Dead ass. Whoever's the most patient will make the most money. if in the next 15 minutes we are not moving towards the lows, I'm probably just gonna hop off for the day. I know that doesn't sound like, oh, Bash, you're just gonna fucking give up on the trade. It's not that. It's just like, I don't want you guys to think that. It's just CPI tomorrow. You know. If okay, so here's what I'm gonna let you guys know here and now. If on Abundant Capital we don't do a live stream, I will do a live stream for CPI tomorrow on this page. So I'll either be either way, I'll share the link on my Twitter, and I'll spam it through all my Telegram chats. But it's going to be either that. We're either going to hop on for CPI tomorrow, okay? Hop on for CPI tomorrow with Abundant Capital, or we're going to hop on this channel, okay? But again, guys, don't be surprised if we just play around this range. I'm not going to be really shocked if we just take out the low later on today and play with this high some more. This high seems very likely to get played with a lot more. The lows are getting dodged. The highs are getting dodged. Right? At the open, you don't want to see that. You kind of want to see things getting ran, not building up. So to me, when I asked myself this morning, what are we in the expansion phase, running for liquidity phase, or sweeping liquidity, building up liquidity? It's, for me, we are building it up today. That's what the day right before CPI tends to be more often than not. It's a big liquidity buildup, and sometimes it has some moves that are that lead on to that CPI play. But I have yet to position myself within it, so I can't give too much detail as to where that actually is. I don't trust this accumulation, by the way. I think that's gonna dump. Yeah, just playing with the lows. The XY could be moving up. The Dow is just playing. Yeah, guys, I might be just chilling out of the market today. I don't want to risk too much. I don't want to show up tomorrow and then not have enough bullets to enjoy my CPI. I don't want to show up on FOMC and not have enough bullets to, you know, trade during FOMC. I know FOMC, I tend to pull like the trigger twice. And so I don't want to use, I have, let's say I have 4 bullets this week. Okay. I have 4 bullets this week, or let's say 5. Okay. I have 5 bullets this week. If I were to use 1 or 2, every time I take a trade or a setup, I take 1 or 2. Okay. So about 2 on average per setup. So we're looking at, if I were to take a trade today, about 2 bullets go down. Okay. And then you have CPI tomorrow. Guaranteed that 1 bullet will go off on that. Okay. I usually only take 1 trade on CPI. And then you have FOMC, where I usually take 2 more. Okay. And so the way that I'm looking at it is, I much rather not use the entirety. Just because you have 5 doesn't mean you have to use all 5. So that goes with just because you guys have a 5% drawdown overall for the daily on most challenges doesn't mean you need to max out most of that. So let's say a lot of you may have like a 1.5 to 2% risk every day. That's like your risk threshold for the day. Necessarily, you don't have to max that out every time. Like, once you have a bad trade, ideally you want to stay as far away possible from that max daily drawdown that you have, whether that be 5%, 2%, whatever it may be. For me, it's actually 2%. I cannot go beyond 2% for the day. Okay, and so what that means is just like I risk about 0.9%, 0.8% per trade. And so that means I can't shoot more than 2. And shooting 2 already puts me on the higher end. So being very cautious with the first one is where I personally take a lot more pride on. Is I used to not take the best of setups, but now I'm being a little bit more cautious, because I know that I have 5 bullets, but I don't need to use all 5 this week, right? Just because I got 5 bullets for the week doesn't mean I need to empty the clip, right? So it's a big one for me. Once you realize that, that's a huge one. Nas looking nice now. Now Nas looks good to me. Okay, I love this. This right here, boom, takes out the low, rejects to the upside. Does not take out the low, does it? No, it doesn't. Interesting. Takes out this low, but I still love it. It's really nice. Want to see that high getting taken. Some equal lows though. Imbalance, accumulation, no distros yet. Reaccumulation down here in this previous area of accumulation. Imbalance, likely to just continue to come to this high again. DXY is finally giving us that push higher. So we want to see these guys finally start moving lower, but Dow is not doing the best of work on that. It's a fat ass sigh. Sorry. Yeah, guys, I think that's gonna be. Yeah. I'm actually gonna hop off like in 20 minutes. Here, like within the next 10-20 minutes, we will be wrapping it up. Nas has a mind of its own. Yeah, indices don't want to short. They don't. Like, you can just tell. We're having the hardest time like taking out lows. Nasdaq below 9 a.m. low. Creates that shift in structure. Failure to create a new low. Shift in structure. We have this imbalance here. We have this low that created that imbalance. So I'm gonna already be preparing my stop loss. I do like the longs. Again, short-term longs into the highs. One thing I don't like is this insufficiency here on the left. But for the most part, I got traded through. So yeah. Got this imbalance here. Got this break, or not breaker. Got this mitigation candle right there. Got some imbalance right there as well. Oh shit. Now you guys can see it a little bit better. The overlap right there. Stop loss could be right here. Copy price. I don't like how we're coming out of this area though, so I'm not gonna throw too much at it. Just gonna throw very lightly at it. See how it ends up playing out. Only if we get to that imbalance. We may have gotten into it and I totally missed it, but oh yeah, we did slightly tap into that. Let's see if we get a second tap in there. Is. See how we get it in there. Kind of want to see what we do on the way on the next candle. There it is. It's a nice rejection. Alright, we'll be taking this long here. And since I was only able to get one contract on here, I'm only going to be aiming for these highs right here. And just getting the hell out for the day. For the most part, just want to go to this objective here. Copy price. Set a sell limit. Right? May not give me like the highest percentage. The highest risk to reward. I'm going to move this up a little bit right there. might not give me, like I said, the craziest risk to reward, but I'm gonna go very light, right? My bullets are mainly gonna be preserved or earned or built up. You know, maybe earning one more bullet here for the day, for the week. And I get asked this a lot. Am I trading demo? Am I trading live? I'm not gonna say, you know, you guys can make that assumption. Make that assumption yourself. Like whether I'm trading live, whether I'm trading demo, whether like whatever, man. Like you guys make that assumption yourself. I don't really I'm not here to like flaunt trades. I'm here to share energy, this energy and space with you guys. That's all. I was in Nas Longs and I was going to take some off of the table at the imbalance and I ended up closing the entire thing. Tragic. I've definitely done that. Yeah, guys. So, anyways, I'm gonna let that do its thing. Not really going to take another trade today. Gonna let that just go in there. It might not even be a full percentage that I gain out of this. I'm totally fine with it. I'm just glad that we got to share this time and space together. And, you know, TP would have been hit as well. It's all good, bro. Don't shit all over yourself. You're good. We'll definitely have some very eventful trades this week. Anyways, guys, I appreciate you guys tuning in for our first Monday session. We will be covering some of this tomorrow for Technical Tuesdays. Technical Tuesdays is going to give you the outlook for FOMC. It's going to be covering CPI, tomorrow's CPI. Again, it's a very eventful week. I appreciate you guys being here. If you guys weren't able to be here throughout the whole call, you guys can catch the recording as well. It is going to be added on to the live trading sessions, I think it's called, the playlist. And yeah, I'll have a flyer for the next one. I didn't create one for this one because I'm waiting for something specifically. You guys will see it, and it's gonna be cool. But I was waiting for something specifically. My designer was not ready. It was supposed to be ready yesterday, and she requested more time. So I will be sharing the flyer and better, I guess, promote the call a lot better. There we go. So, anyways, guys, have an amazing rest of your day. Take care. Remember back tests. I will be just leaving this trade. I mean, it's not that much. So we'll be leaving this trade alone, letting it do its thing. I'll catch you guys on either CPI tomorrow with Abundant Capital or here on this YouTube page. I'll drop the link on my Twitter. Again, guys, take care. Have an amazing rest of your weekday, wherever it is that you're at, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Take care. Peace.